Hey, what's up everyone? The topic of this video is going to be microchip technology, particularly microchip implants. Now, we've all seen this coming. We've all been monitoring this type of news because it possibly relates to prophecy. But I just wanted to go ahead and give you some updates because it's been back in the news again. I just happened to look it up, and immediately 3 minutes before I looked it up, there was an article uploaded to Business Insider. Now, this was around an hour ago this was uploaded. Elon Musk says that he's actually tested his brain microchip on monkeys, and it's enabled one to control a computer with its mind. Elon Musk actually stated that soon we're all going to have microchip technology linked to us that connects us to the cloud, connects us directly to computers. And he and other business investors and tech experts and all of that, they believe that it'll be around 2030. That he said you're really not going to even want to say no due to convenience. Now, the same thing really happened to us with all of these speakers and all of these devices and phones and the internet in general. We all really kind of just agreed to it because of convenience. But Elon Musk's neurotechnology company, Neuralink, they said that they plan to implant chips in people's brains during a live presentation on Tuesday. Now, Elon Musk took his colleagues by surprise with an unplanned announcement at the presentation by his secretive neurological neurotechnology company, Neuralink, on Tuesday. He co-founded the company in 2016, and its goal is to create a chip which would enable a brain-computer interface. And they said it already has some success with monkeys. During the 90-minute event, the company's ambition to design a chip capable of being implanted in the human brain, and it could both receive and transmit signals to the organ. The near-term goal would be to treat various serious brain disorders, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and other, although ultimately Musk's ambition is to achieve symbiosis with artificial intelligence. He wants us to connect directly to AI. Now, the current design, and also they say it would upload our consciousness to the cloud, but then would you still be yourself? They also are selling some chips in New York right now to be implanted in human beings to where you can have certain areas of the brain, replace it with a microchip to let you be zen or calm or meditate, to change your mood when you want it to change. But the current design takes on the form of a chip implanted behind the ear. Now, to me, that right there would automatically cause you to no longer be yourself because it would not be your mood. It would be controlled. Thus, you could also be controlled by something else. Now, the ear connecting to the electrode thread, about 1/4 of a width of the human hair, which are threaded into the brain where they can stimulate the neurons or nerve cells. And this is an image right here of the implants. The Neuralink chip sits behind the ear while the electrodes are threaded into the brain. Responding to a question about whether the company had conducted any animal testing, Musk replied that it had carried out tests on rats and monkeys, adding that the company's work with monkeys had been done in conjunction with the University of California. The results have been very positive, Musk said. Neuralink's senior scientist, he said that some of the results would be available on paper very soon. He did not elaborate on exactly how he said the monkeys had controlled the computer, but he said he didn't realize that we were running that test today, but there it goes. And he started laughing, the monkeys are going to come out of the bag. Both Musk and Hodak seemed very cognizant of the sensitive nature of animal testing. We wish that they didn't have to work with animals, but they said we just wish that it wasn't a step in the process, but it is. Musk also said that the company hopes to start human testing before the end of next year. They're going to start human testing with microchips before the end of next year. And just a few days ago, they asked, would you have a microchip implant if it could save your life? Now they're saying that they're trying to give the emphasis that it would help save people's lives. A microchip implant with chronic medication is right now life-saving for people with chronic medical conditions, while giving people with physical disabilities a sense of independence. So microchips that allow people to open coded doors, make payments without reaching for any cards, give help with people with diabetes or disabilities like quadruplet amputees. A few years ago, they said what Lewis thought was a common cold turned into a toxic turned into a toxic shock syndrome. Septicemia and necrotizing fasciitis, which is a flesh-eating disease. He's lucky to be alive, but it came with the cost of his arms and legs, basically making him a quadriplegic. That today they said that he has a microchip in the remains of each arm, and now because of the microchips in each arm that contains key codes for his home and other contains his medical information, and it gives him independence back while providing his medical records in case of an emergency, but also providing connectivity to various things in his homes, his vehicle. He's hoping that he'll soon be able to use the microchip to drive a car, not just open the door, but microchips could also help more disabled people. Now they're saying microchips will help disabled people if they implant them all around their body. It could also be an aid to anyone who may not be able to answer for themselves in case of an emergency, particularly diabetics and epileptics. But they said, could they be hacked? That's the issue. That's the fear, is these devices. That's the main fear, is these devices being hacked. They also now have microchips and remote-controlled drug delivery implants the size of a grape that help chronic diseases management. People are being implanted with these things the size of a grape, and people with chronic diseases like arthritis, diabetes, and heart disease, they say they may one day forego the daily regimens of pills and instead have something that supposedly will receive a scheduled diagnosis of medication, if you can afford this crap, through a grape-sized implant that is remotely controlled. Most of us can't afford what we need anyway. We can't even afford to go to the doctor or afford the medications we need regardless, so it's a sad world we live in. Only the rich will ever be able to afford this convenience anyway, even if they make you do it. Just like they make most people have all of these things, but can you use it? No, not really, because you have to pay out the wazoo to be able to use it, but utilize it. Anyway, moving back to this, researchers from Houston say that they will deliver a continuous, persistent, predetermined dosages of 2 chronic disease medications using the nano-channel delivery systems, NDS, that remotely control using Bluetooth technology and all of this near-field communication technology, basically to release of these drugs without the use of pumps anymore, valves. I actually seen a woman with one of those on her. She had a little round thing that was connected. It had this little had a microchip technology in it, and she had it implanted on her arm, and it would hold on, let me turn the notifications off. Sorry about that, but it had microchip implant in it and had some kind of a little round thing, and then it was connected to a pump into her body, and it would release these pills into her body or whatever. But this technology is tested. They said it's in place in space next year, but they've just kind of started this right now. But this woman I seen in the doctor's office when my daddy was having his testing done, which it's not turning out so well. The doctor is not helping my daddy at all, and he's saying, it's too high, and he's making things worse. The doctor is making things a lot worse. He won't give him the blood pressure medication that he needs that the other doctor tested on him, but they no longer will give him now. And suddenly now they don't want to give him the medication after he finds out that he needs it and helped him. They said, we really don't want to give it to you. What the heck? I don't know what to say about that crap. And then they don't want to help him. So that's the problem. They don't want to help him. That's the big problem. And they want him to go back, and he's in the middle on the road and at work, and you can't just schedule. When you're a truck driver, you can't just schedule, I'm going to go to the doctor now. No, he's in Missouri. You can't going off to the doctor in Tennessee and say, oh, I'm going to take this day off to do that. That just doesn't work that way. And they told him that, oh, well, you need to, I don't know, it's a big mess, and they're not helping him, and they're saying that it's dangerously high. His blood pressure and sugar levels all messed up, and just there's all kinds of stuff going on, chest palpitations, heart pains, and all the kind of things. It's not pleasant. I pray that things go well. We need more financial blessings. We could really use money. We could really use medical help, but that's this world for you. Big prayers to Luana Simmons for what she's going through as well, and others going through what they're going through. It's a sad world. But anyway, back to this topic. The drug dosage and schedule can be tailored to each patient through using microchip technology. They're wanting to use microchip remote-controlled devices like this to help control diabetes. They're claiming that this device right here that can be implanted will help remote control drug delivery implants will help manage diabetes. They said that in Houston, Texas, they actually delivered continuous predetermined dosages of 2 chronic disease medications using nano-channel delivery systems that they can remotely be controlled using Bluetooth technology. They say they control the release of drugs without pumps, valves, or even a supply for possibly up to a year without a refill for some patients, and they'll just be refilled using that device right there. And right now in Sweden, they're seeing a microchip implant revolution, as you can see right there. They said that having a microchip inserted under their skin, they're having parties for these things. They said it's increasingly the way to go in Sweden and other European nations as well. Nowhere more than in Sweden are people doing this. Thousands of Swedes, they now use the technology regularly, attending implant parties to have chips inserted to replace their gym cards, national IDs, and even train tickets. Being reported from all across the land, people getting microchip implants. And Health Magazine and The Atlantic says you're probably going to be getting a microchip implant someday. Microchip implants are going from tech geek novelty to genuine health tools, and you might be running out for good reasons to say no. They say we might be running out of good reasons to say no to this technology. So if you remember back in 2017 when thousands of Swedes chose to do this, and now millions of people are still choosing to do it right now. And in the New York Times, this person said, a chip in my hand unlocks my house. Why does that scare people? Implant technology can change this world unless politicians give into the hysteria against it. Chips like this, they say, can change this world. Over the past few decades, microchip implant technology has moved from science fiction to reality. Now, today, hundreds of thousands of people from around this world have chips or electronic transmitters inside them. Now, the thing is, these near-field communications are required for certain RFID, radio frequency identification chips, to work. Now, if they were to utilize 5G technology everywhere and have these things every few feet, then they could be reading you everywhere you go and tracking you. Now, that GPS technology enabled in there could actually be able to track you everywhere using that near-field communication. But anyway, these body modification enthusiasts using the technophiles are actually having their bodies modified and having everything from starting a car, sending messages, and paying online and paying with your body, paying with a card. Where I know facial recognition and biometrics is being pushed by the government and has been pushed for many years. We would have already been deep in more ways than you ever known had we gone the other direction. But also they say that all of this technology implanting in people's brain could help you help your moods be a certain way, help control your moods, and all of this kind of stuff. Working with the body. I had an idea a long time ago, but it was a totally different thing. But it was if you were to take this chip and you were to take it and implant it toward the hypothalamus, and you could help regulate the thermoregulation of the temperature of the body. But that was a different scenario. That was to help cool you down when you're hot and make you warmer when you're cold. But I realize they could probably mess with temperatures for fevers when you have sicknesses and illnesses. There are some state laws going on about this right now too. Now this took place in Australia. A microchip actually mimics brain activity to create and modify memories. In Sydney, Australia, on July 17th, researchers at the Australian University in Melbourne have developed a microchip which mimics the biological function of the brain to create and store memories, presenting possibilities for the future of advanced artificial intelligence. The study released on Wednesday reveals that how the microchip uses light waves to alter the electrical resistance from positive to negative, equivalent to the binding and breaking of neurological connections, the neural connections in our brain, which is how our brains create and lose memories. That's how we create and lose memories, and they've now done that with microchip technology and artificial intelligence. Research team leaders stated that, and of course, I believe it was a Chinese individual, go figure, that was inspired by an emerging area of study known as optogenetics, which uses light waves to control neurons in living human brains, or in living brains in general. By adopting the methodologies that people use in optogenetics, they said we have done so in developing an artificial synapse of which is sensitive to light, and it is sensitive to different wavelengths of light. So by shining different colors of light, they say they can either turn on or off the synapse of whether we can actually turn on the synapse period, basically meaning they can alter memories. And they said explaining that our brains create memories by connecting neurons, and when the connection is broken, it is when we forget the memories. So, when we shine the particular wavelength of light at these artificial neurons, they mimic the binding of neurons. And when we shine the different wavelengths on them, they say that the wavelengths of light of these artificial neurons, they mimic the behavior of losing that bond or losing a memory. So they said the neurons present possibilities, the function of these neurons, the basic function of them. The future of artificial intelligence is at the cusp here, which relies on the ability to create and store these memories in order to learn. So basically almost creating human-like intelligence for artificial intelligence, or AI. This technology brings us an important step closer to a realization of a bionic brain. A brain on chip that can learn from its environment just like we humans do. And also hopes that the research, I don't know why they didn't say we humans, but they said just like humans do, that the research may assist research into neurological disorders such as Alzheimer's disease and dementia. Now, they always use medical ailments and medical issues as an excuse to further develop this technology and push this agenda. But if we understand the mechanism, they say we can think of how to cure this disorder. Now, that's what they're using this for. As a child, I always stated that they would use the mark of the beast and use this type of technology as they would use it to bribe people. They would bribe them with technology and goods, and I said you'll be bribed with technology like TV and entertainment and media and electronics. You'll be bribed with all kinds of things, material goods and perks that'll make it seem great, but you're doomed by this. Now, inevitably doomed. And I did say that as a child. I talked about it to my granny, my mama and daddy. I talked about it all the time. They have engineered human blood-brain barrier engineered on a microchip. They've kind of created the human blood and brain on a microchip. You can see here, it's big news 9 hours ago on Technology and Travel Guide and Business Real Estate. How far has human microchipping technology come? Microchipping the human body. What are the risks of it? Now, everyone's fear is hacking. But you can see, now I know it says in the Bible, the right hand, right arm, or the forehead. This is obviously the left hand. It's the left arm. But a lot of people are also, who are abducted, are left with these microchips and things that emit a frequency or tracking or maybe even control the human mind or body. And You can see that on some UFO file shows and movies and documents that I seen a few days ago, and I talked about that in a video. It's quite interesting. So all of this microchipping is becoming quite common now, and by 2030 it'll be really commonplace. So how close are we to seeing widespread implementation of human microchipping, they ask, and who has started experimenting with it? This is the kind of thing you see. It really found its roots in Sweden, using their hand to open things. Of course, it seems like it'd be just as easy to use your phone, but the closest thing to these chips that we're familiar with are the trackers that we implant into our pets. The same applies to the abilities that they provide, and that's becoming quite common as well. It's just become such a part of their routine. They said the chips contain medical records and contain your information through RFID reading. It all kind of started in Sweden, and then you see they claim it could help patients. That right there is what the microchip would look like implanted in the human brain, connecting to our mind. And you see right there Elon Musk's illustration of why did it not do that? 5G is already usurped 6G, and it's not even here yet. 5G technology, lightning fast technology, and they're looking beyond 5G and innovative technological connection. And it's just something that you see in the news quite a bit. And they're claiming that, oh, it'll tell your doctor's office you have issues if you can go to the doctor. And there are also ethical issues about tracking and all of this. As you'll see right here, the trades union and Congress has looked into this. Microchipping would give bosses even more power and control over their workers. They said there are more obvious risks involved. Employers must not brush them aside and pressure their staff into being chipped, because there's too much tracking and it causes too much pressure on the employees, and you'd have more power over your employees, and there'd be too much power over us. Besides employer surveillance, they said RFIDs can easily be read by strangers and hackers. In a subway, for example, if you can actually ping a person's chip to read whatever data is on it using an RFID reader. And they said that would begin to add more personal information to these embedded chips, and as we begin to do that, social security numbers and other IDs and information about us, the more personal data could be prone to being copied by hackers. As a whole, microchipping has not been mass adopted yet. There's not been some mass adoption of this, but given the times in which we live, where U.S. tech firms like Facebook and Google and other social media platforms, and they're under the microscope of lawmakers, general opinion on these microchips is not likely to be in their favor so far. In the future, though, the question becomes whether when rather than if, because there's no if in the future. They said it's just when we merge with this technology. Now, they stated that rudimentary at this stage as it is, these chips could offer highly important features in the coming decades that could enhance team communication, intelligence, and more, merging us with artificial intelligence and connecting us into the cloud, uploading the human consciousness into the cloud. When it comes to sending those CVs candidates, they say chips are implanted in the human body and the human brain, likely to have the edge, which would then drive a trend of the mass populace seeking implants to stay competitive in the job market. That they're going to use that as leverage over people. They said that these chips being implanted in their bodies, they're more likely to have an edge over you, so it would drive you to do something otherwise, kind of like what they're doing now, what they've done now. Oh, you don't have the internet? They did that when I was in school. What's wrong with you? You don't have the internet? You need the internet to stay up to, and then they would do surveys to see who had the internet, and then they were like, you don't have a smartphone? Then they would say, you're not up to par, you're not up to standard. And they're going to do the same thing with that. You're going to have to give in. Or if you don't have social media now, they look at you like you're crazy. So you're going to have to give in due to peer pressure, so to speak, in order to stay relevant on the competing job market. I mean, you wouldn't have to, they would no longer, it's like if you're not in there, then you're just screwed, so to speak. You're just doomed. So if you don't have a, kind of like if you don't have, pardon my language there that I just, if you don't like that word, I don't usually use those words on my channel anyway, but if you're just kind of doomed if you don't give in to it, basically. Just like if you don't have a phone or the internet or apps, you don't get the conveniences of things. And you're you're ousted or ostracized. You're considered an outsider. And you'll have to give in just to stay competing. Just to stay in the competitive market. But anyway, it's a slippery slope, they said, with an inevitable point of no return. That, however, is an eventuality of innovation, a natural progression in human evolution. Not really. That's not a natural progression in human evolution. That's just something that we're adding during the technological revolution, in the tech revolution. But Google's rapid advancements and Facebook, they said there's so many boundaries they're breaking, and they're looking for new grounds of regulations, regulatory demands to keep them from going too far, but it's not going to work. The questions are endless, and we gave in to it all. I mean, we all give in for convenience and to stay up in the competitive world and stay relevant. Because if you don't, the convenience it's just if you don't give in, then you just lose that convenience, and you can't utilize the things in the world around you. That's what they've got on us. But the questions are endless, but the answers are still numbered. All in all, microchips and overall human augmentations, such as the Neuralinks threads, but they pose a great ethical and health concerns, but they're still doing them, which at the moment still outnumber the benefits, and they pose questions we as a society are not equipped or ready to answer right now. So, and they're also saying on Yahoo Finance, microchip implants in the skin will replace cash. And they could replace cash sooner than later, but thousands of people right now implanting, that's just in Sweden, are implanting microchips in their skin and replacing debit and credit cards. Yahoo Finance's individual's editor-in-chief discussed this on Yahoo Finance today. And there's some comments on there. I can view the reactions and see. Well, I thought I could, but it wouldn't let me. But they said microchip implants are looking like they're replacing cash, and it could soon replace your cash. Give your thoughts on all of this. Microchips are in the news quite a bit, and I just thought I'd give you the up-to-date news on this. Microchip implants are on their way. Peace and much love. Signing out. If you like what I do, feel free to donate to my PayPal link below. My email for this channel is also below. And sending love to everyone. Signing out. I love you all.